once again, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel, where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to another edition of A Look Into Our Past, as we continue to take a good close look at the Swordquest series and the contests that surrounded it. By this time, we have the release of Swordquest Fireworld, and up for grabs now is, believe it or not, the Chalice of Light. The Chalice of Light in 1982 was estimated to be worth $25,000. In today's money, it's worth right around $65,564.89. That being said, with the success of the first release, Swordquest Earthworld, now everyone is really wanting to get in on Swordquest Fireworld. So, believe it or not, the stakes are a lot higher, and the chances of winning are now even slimmer. So, as we continue to take a good close look at this video game series, we're going to take a look at the gameplay and, of course, the end of the contest. So, stick around as we continue to take a closer look at the Swordquest series, more in particular, Swordquest Fireworld. Okay, folks, immediately when I started up my Atari flashback, Fireworld goes directly into a game demo. That'll be the first difference that you notice about this particular game. The second thing that should be noted, if you look at the copyright date, it says 1982. Well, the game was released in February of 1983, so already we're beginning to see some issues within Atari. Of course, we know in 1983 came the big video game crash of 1983 that affected a lot of video game companies, Commodore and just so many other video game companies that were around at that time went under. Well, Atari was feeling that pinch from the video game crash already in 1982 if they had that delayed release. So, now that we've established that, one of the first things that needs to be said, when you bought the game brand new back in 1983, just like with Earthworld, it came with a comic book that was inked by DC Comics, the same comic book company that has brought us Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the Green Lantern, and just so many other amazing comic book characters that we have, that we hold so near and dear to us today. With DC Comics on board, and they inked the comic book, you needed the comic book to do the gameplay. What actually, just like with Earthworld, what you would do is you would go to these rooms and you would have to move items around in these rooms from room to room, just like in Earthworld, and by doing this in a certain sequence, you would then unlock a clue. Then what you had to do is that in game it would give you a page number and a panel number. So say it was like 25-7, you would go to page 25, look at panel number 7, and from there you would then look at that panel, and in that panel would be a hidden word. You would write down that hidden word, and from there, once you got all of the words from the game, then you had to then figure out which words you needed to make a particular phrase. And we'll talk about what phrase it was that you had to send into Atari. But once you got that phrase, you would then send it off to Atari, and you would then be one of the finalists for the contest. And you would then be brought into a particular place. You would play a custom version of the game, and that was how it was decided, who won the contest. And you had to beat it, basically beat the game the fastest over everybody else. So from there, this is actual gameplay that I attempted here in this game, and the action sequences were near impossible. As a matter of fact, to kind of prepare myself for this, I even looked up gameplay of Swordquest Fireworld on YouTube, and pretty much all I found was people that just kind of ran around randomly trying to figure out the game, just like you're seeing me do. It probably would have helped if I would have looked up the manual online, but I didn't do that. I did look at a particular website called Yosemite Sam, and he actually put up, where you're supposed to move the items to unlock the clues and everything. And I will be honest with you, I could, I just couldn't figure out the action sequences. So because I couldn't figure out the action sequences, that website does me no good whatsoever. So my hat's off to those early gamers who were able to figure out how to play this game, because some of these action sequences, I was sitting there like, am I not supposed to get hit, or am I supposed to hit everything, or am I supposed to hit some of it? I just couldn't figure the gameplay out. So just like everybody else, I wandered around aimlessly. Again, I did look up the information, so I would have what I needed to at least give you an insight what phrase we actually needed. And the phrase that we actually needed, once we had all the clues, and then we went to page 2, and there was a particular phrase that kind of set which one, basically what words we actually needed, and it was the phrase was adds to 7. And once you figured that out with all the words and everything, the words basically read the phrase leads to Chalice power abounds. That was the phrase that you needed to send into Atari. Now again, by this time the stakes were a lot higher, and Atari basically sent letters out to all of the people who figured out the phrases, and they had to send in a letter saying what they liked about the game. And from those letters, they were able to figure out who was going to go on to the final showdown. They selected a total of 50 people from these letters, and then they brought them into a location. They played a custom version of the game, and whoever beat the game the fastest and got all the clues right and everything was, of course, the winner. So there you have it. Unfortunately, I was not able to figure this game out to save my life. Maybe at a later date I might try to pick this game back up and actually beat the game, which there's oftentimes a debate with the Swordquest games if they ever actually end. No one has ever actually went beyond all of the phrases to see if there's more, to my knowledge. But there you have it. Swordquest Fireworld, the best I can figure out. Unfortunately, I apologize. I was just not able to figure out all of these action sequences. But before I close this section out, I was able to figure out one, and that was the one with the stupid bird. And that one actually, to me, kind of reminded me of Space Invaders, which after about 10 minutes of trying to figure this game out, that's exactly what I went and did. I played Space Invaders. So, all right, let's move on to kind of the end of the contest for Swordquest Fireworld. Okay, folks, this is about the time that Atari brings in all 50 of the finalists for Swordquest Fireworld. Now, if you've been keeping up with the series so far, you kind of know how this is going to go. What Atari does is they give the finalist a custom version of the cartridge, and those finalists have to basically unlock all of the clues, undo the puzzle in this custom version, and they have to do it before all of the other finalists. The finalist that took the contest was none other than Michael Rideout. For the record, Michael Rideout still has the Chalice of Light and keeps it in a safe deposit box. And to my knowledge, is the only one of the contestants from any of the Swordquest, contest that still actually publicly speaks today about the contest. Stephen Bell doesn't really talk about the contest, mainly because I guess because he fell on hard times and the talisman is long gone and almost forgotten to history. However, again, Michael Rideout still has the Chalice of Light. In 1982, the Chalice of Light was also made by the Franklin Mint and was worth $25,000. In today's money, it's worth an estimated $65,564 plus some change. Congratulations, Michael Rideout. So there you have it, Michael Rideout, the Swordquest series finalist for Fireworld. And at this point, what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to again cut away one more time, and we're going to kind of bring this to a wonderful close.
Well, there you have it, folks. The second one to our series on Swordquest and the contest that surrounds it. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and kind of give you a little bit of a spoiler alert on the next one. It is going to be the final one that we're going to do on Swordquest. Pretty much because the contest surrounding Game 3, there's not a whole lot known on it. We won't talk too much more about it. And of course, the ending of the Swordquest contest. I initially was going to do a 4-part series, but we're just going to go ahead and leave it at 3. So that brings us to our usual spot. Be sure to hit the like button, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and be sure to hit the bell icon, because the subscribe button doesn't mean as much as it once did on YouTube. So you have to really hit that bell icon, so you'll be notified every time I upload a brand new video. All right, as always, for all of you out there, get out there and work on a project. I don't care what it is, just do something with yourself. Remember, idle hands and a creative mind go together like oil and water. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet and do something special for them today. And as always, for all of you out there, if no one out there has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.
Man. Wow, man, freaked out.